Okay, so let me pick up where I left off. So, G track, this is your graphic organizer. It should be numbered page 11. What impact did the Qin dynasty have on China? You'll see that there are two sides of the chart because it's a T chart. So, you're going to take notes from the text, and here are your guiding questions, what you should specifically be looking for in the text. The text should be exact quotes because this is what you will use to then write your text dependent analysis that you know is due on either October 21st, depending on what class you're in, or the 22nd. So you're looking for how did Qin Emperor unify China? And you're going to specifically have text written here, directly quoting the text. And then in your own words, you're going to explain how does that text answer the question, how did Emperor Qin impact China, or what impact did the Qin dynasty have on China? And then you're going to look in the text and find how did Emperor Qin rule his dynasty? Again, you're looking for specific text to answer that question, and you're going to directly quote it. And then this is the analysis part. You're going to explain how whatever you picked answers the question. And last, what are some major accomplishments of Emperor Qin? So again, you're looking. Now, he wasn't all bad. He did have some accomplishments for his dynasty despite his demeanor. So you're looking directly for quotes from the text, and then you'll explain it. The back of the page should be page 12. So then it says, using the text to support your response, explain how you would describe Emperor Qin as a ruler. Use at least 3 details from the text to support your response. So the reason why I have you do the front is because then all you have to do is type up what you have on the front in paragraph format, and then you have your text-dependent analysis completed. For the purposes of RTDA, you do not have to have an intro. You do not have to have a conclusion. This is just to get us thinking about how we cite text and how we then analyze that text in our own words to explain how it answers the prompt. Look at this step-by-step checklist. You need to type your response to the prompt in pages. So you're using the front of this. I can't stress that enough. The exact language from the front, I want you to just type up in pages. Make sure you cite the evidence from the left column of the T-chart and then explain why the evidence is important to the question, which is how would you describe Emperor Qin as a ruler? Again, if you did good work on the front, it should be easy when you get to the back, just typing up what you have in paragraph format. And then you're submitting this to Schoology as a PDF. So when you're in pages, you export. Do not share the document. So from pages, you take that document, you export it to Schoology. It'll ask you how. You'll pick it as a PDF, and then you'll pick my submission box, which is in the Emperor Qin folder, Emperor Qin TDA, and 12-point assignment, I think is what it's called. So the response to the prompt is due on the 21st of October for FFC&H, and it's due October 22nd for AKU KO. And you'll see how you're going to be scored at the bottom of the page. On page 13, please write, everybody should be writing your guiding question, how did the Qin dynasty impact the history of China? Remember, you don't have to write the blue. We've been doing this now for 3 dynasties. So you're listening for how did the dynasty form? That's the rise. You're listening for the good things, the accomplishments of the dynasty, and you're listening for how did the dynasty fall? And that should say Qin dynasty, of course. All right, so T-track, you should have from the first video paused and read the work on pages 14 and 15 from your text packet. And now I'm going to go over what you should have on your graphic organizer. So Emperor Qin Shi Huang became the first emperor of China by declaring himself the emperor. This is essential. Remember, during the period of the Warring States following the Zhou dynasty, he was one of the kings, and he then said, I can do this all by myself. And he didn't ask permission. He didn't wait for someone to say, yeah, you should be emperor. He just declared himself. He said, I am the emperor. I am going to lead and govern with one central unified government. I'm going to stop all the warring, which he did. And that was an accomplishment. However, he did it through force. He threatened to hurt and harm and kill people that didn't listen to him. So that's the second box. To show his power over the people, he forced them like slaves to work around the countryside and killed anyone who rebelled against him. He was essential in some things, like creating roads within his dynasty. And as you know, he had the Great Wall of China started. And the way he did that was he enslaved people, he forced people to help him do these projects. So he used slaves to build the start of what would become the Great Wall of China today. Remember, the Great Wall of China today that you see that tourists go to today in China was really strengthened by the Ming Dynasty. But it all began right here in around 221 BC with Emperor Qin and the Qin Dynasty. So he gets the credit. And the Qin dynasty only lasted about 15 years. However, Emperor Qin had a lot of accomplishments in that short time. So, despite his ugliness, it's really important to remember that he did do some good things within his dynasty. And this is how the Qin dynasty impacted the history of China. G track, I'm going to go over some things that you should have on your the front of your page 11. So you should maybe have found a piece of text that looks like this. He took direct control of China's provinces, and Emperor Qin wanted all the power to himself. He put himself in charge of the dynasty, and only he had the power to make decisions. So he was self declared. He took direct control, meaning through force, he said, I am emperor, you will listen to me. If you don't listen to me, I will hurt or harm you. And that's how he put himself in charge of the dynasty, which of course was good in a way, despite the way he did it. Remember, he is able to govern under one central unified government. How did he rule his China? Maybe you found a piece of text that looks like this. Qin ruled China with absolute control and swift, harsh punishment. Anyone who disagreed with him or was punished, or killed. Writings that displeased Qin were burned. And so what does that mean to us? He ruled his dynasty through fear. People were scared of the punishment that they were faced. Therefore, they did what he said. And what are some major accomplishments of Emperor Qin? Maybe you found this piece of text. He created currency that everyone had to use. He created the first really unified Chinese writing system. We know that writing had existed, but now more people throughout the dynasty are learning to write and the system that he created. And he constructed his own tomb called the Terracotta Warriors. And although it appears Qin created things better to make the dynasty better, he did it to make others follow his command. It was a way to control the people. So, yeah, it's good, but through the way in which he did it, it was a form of control. Everybody should have the Emperor Qin trading card, and there are some things I want you to understand about him. So this is a great quick review for your brain. So if you have like a minute, you want to review something, looking at your trading cards are the best way to do it. I sum up just like some very important facts. So in 221 BC, Emperor Qin sent an army of horses to defeat and end the Zhou dynasty. So it was he who ended the dynasty and, of course, declared himself the ruler of his dynasty. He calls himself Qin Shi Huangdi, which means the first Qin emperor. Qin ruled through swift, harsh punishment or even killed his people for disagreeing with him. Qin had the first Great Wall of China constructed to keep out invaders called nomads. And of course, they were nomadic, meaning they moved from place to place, and they were often moving from the north of Mongolia and coming south into his dynasty, which he didn't prefer. Take a look at our pages 6 and 7. Let's sum up what we learned about Emperor Qin. So he is Emperor Qin, or Qin Shi Huangdi. And we know that he used force to unify China. But some good things: he started the Great Wall, he had his own currency, he created a writing system, and he had his own tomb built to protect him in the afterlife.